a Soviet early warning command center south of Moscow. A red warning light flashes. A computer reports that the United States has launched nuclear missiles. According to protocol, the next step is simple: report the attack and trigger the end of the world. One man chooses not to. This isn't a story about bravery on a battlefield. It begins in silence, with a man watching a screen. The Cold War has entered a precarious phase. Just 3 weeks earlier, the Soviet military shot down a Korean passenger plane, killing 269 civilians. Tensions between the United States and the USSR are at a breaking point. Both sides are expecting the other to make the first strike. Inside the control room of a Soviet air defense facility, Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov begins his night shift. His job is simple: watch the screens, trust the system, and if it says the United States has launched nuclear missiles, report it. That report would move up the chain of command, and within minutes, the Soviet Union would launch everything it had. Shortly after midnight, the alarm sounds. A warning flashes across the screen, indicating an American ballistic missile launch. But the system only shows one missile. Just one missile? Petrov freezes. This isn't how nuclear war is supposed to start. If the United States were launching a first strike, it wouldn't fire one missile, it would fire hundreds. Petrov does not immediately report the alert. Then the alarm sounds again. It now shows 5 incoming missiles. The alert is marked with the system's highest reliability rating. Petrov has only minutes to make a decision: trust the system or wait for radar confirmation. If he waits, it might be too late. If Stanislav Petrov is wrong, if missiles are actually coming and he fails to report it, the Soviet Union will have no warning. 23 minutes from now, Moscow will be a crater. His wife, his 2 sons, everyone he's ever known, gone. But if he's right, and he reports this anyway, millions of people will die in the nuclear exchange, and in the months that follow, billions more. Every major target in the Northern Hemisphere will be hit. Once he picks up that phone, there's no taking it back. His report goes to the General Staff. They wake Yuri Andropov, the Soviet leader, and Andropov will launch. So Petrov isn't just deciding for himself, he's deciding for Andropov, for the General Staff, for billions of people who have no idea that this is happening. And the decision window is closing fast. If he's wrong, he won't be remembered as a man who hesitated. He'll be remembered as the officer who failed to report the start of a nuclear war, not a hero, a traitor. Here's the problem. Petrov is not supposed to think. He's not supposed to analyze strategy or second-guess the machine. His job is to report what the system tells him. And the system says the United States has launched a nuclear attack. Petrov later said, at that moment, he felt like he was sitting on a hot frying pan. So why doesn't he pick up the phone? Because something doesn't add up. 5 missiles. Why 5? The United States has thousands of nuclear weapons. If they're launching a first strike, they launch everything. You don't give your enemy 20 minutes to think about it. You overwhelm them. 5 missiles wouldn't even cripple Soviet retaliation. It makes no strategic sense. But the satellite system has never been wrong. This is the highest reliability rating it can give. The computer is certain. The satellite system was designed by brilliant engineers. The same engineers who built Soviet space stations, who put Yuri Gagarin in orbit. But Petrov knows something they don't. He helped design this system. He knows it was rushed into service, barely tested. And he knows something else. If this launch were real, ground-based radar should be confirming it soon. But so far, there's nothing. Only the satellite is reporting. His deputy is still screaming. The phone is still ringing. The clock is ticking. Petrov picks up the phone, and he says, "False alarm." The room goes silent, and now they wait. No one speaks. No one knows if history has already been set in motion. There is nothing Petrov can do now. 2 minutes pass. Nothing. 3 minutes. The radar shows nothing. 5 minutes. The alarm stops. No explosions. No confirmation from radar stations. The system had made a mistake. Sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds had been misinterpreted by the satellites. Moments later, the world continued as normal. Almost no one knew how close it had come to ending. Petrov didn't get a medal. He didn't get promoted. In fact, he was reprimanded for failing to properly document the incident. The Soviet military quietly buried the event. The early warning system was flawed, and admitting that was unacceptable. Petrov retired years later, unknown to the public. For decades, the world never learned how close it came to nuclear war. And here's the most disturbing part. This wasn't a unique moment. During the Cold War, there were multiple incidents where nuclear war nearly started by accident. Faulty sensors, misinterpreted data, human error. Each time, disaster was avoided, not by perfect systems, but by individual humans questioning those systems. We like to imagine the end of the world as a spectacular conflagration, but reality is far more fragile. The world almost ended because of reflected sunlight, and it didn't, because one man hesitated. The word apocalypse does not mean destruction. It comes from the Greek word apocalypsis, meaning a revelation. And moments like this don't just show us how the world might end. They reveal something far more unsettling. We are able to build systems powerful enough to erase us all, long before we are wise enough to control them. Stanislav Petrov died in 2017. He said he didn't consider himself a hero, but that's exactly what makes this story so troubling. The fate of the world rested on a man who was never meant to decide it. 5 minutes. That's all it took to reveal something deeper. Even within the most advanced systems ever built, human judgment still matters. And sometimes, history turns, not on action, not on protocol, but on one man choosing to think for himself. If you want more stories about the decisive moments and hidden truths that shape our world, subscribe to Inflection Points. Thanks for watching, and remember, when technology fails, only human judgment remains.